Welcome back to MMA Unleashed, where fight fans get their real stories, raw drama, and all the latest news from the octagon and beyond. Alex Pereira runs into Jamahal Hill in a surprising face-to-face moment that has the MMA world buzzing. Israel Adesanya sends a sharp message to Strickland, and UFC 320 is shaping up to be one of the most exciting cards we've seen in a while. Founding UFC 320. Get comfortable, grab a drink, and let's talk some fights. Let's start with the headline everyone's talking about. Alex Pereira, the current UFC light heavyweight champion, recently crossed paths with former champ Jamahal Hill. This wasn't inside the octagon. This was out in the real world, and the timing couldn't be more interesting. If you're new to the story, here's some quick context. Jamahal Hill captured the light heavyweight title in early 2023 with a brilliant performance against Glover Teixeira. Unfortunately, he suffered a torn Achilles during training and had to vacate the belt without ever losing it in the cage. Fast forward, Pereira steps up, knocks out Jiri Prochazka, and becomes the new king at 205 pounds. So when these two ran into each other, there was already a storyline. Hill still feels like the rightful champion. Pereira is the man with the belt. Two proud fighters, two very different styles. One collision course. Witnesses said it wasn't a heated argument, but you could feel the energy. Pereira stayed calm. He always does. Hill looked fired up, like he's been waiting for this moment. They exchanged a few words, but it was that silent tension, that eye contact, that had everyone around them thinking, yeah, this fight needs to happen. Let's break down why this matchup is so dangerous for both men. Pereira's left hook is one of the most feared weapons in all of MMA. He's a two-division glory kickboxing champion with ice in his veins. Hill, on the other hand, is a slick boxer with underrated power and some of the cleanest hands in the division. He uses his reach beautifully and isn't afraid to pressure. Stylistically, this is a dream fight. Hill likes to box, Pereira likes to kickbox. Neither man is known for wrestling, so chances are high that it stays standing. That means pure violence for as long as it lasts. I want to throw a question to you guys. If they meet in the octagon, who has the edge? Does Pereira's composure and counter-striking shut Hill down? Or does Hill's speed and footwork create problems Pereira hasn't faced at 205? Drop your predictions in the comments. Another angle to think about is timing. Hill is coming off an Achilles injury. That's no joke for a fighter. How much will that affect his movement, his explosiveness? On the flip side, Pereira just went through a brutal training camp and a war with Jiri. Will he be fresh enough for a quick turnaround? These little details matter when you're talking about a 5-round championship fight. If UFC books this as the main event of UFC 320, it could be one of the biggest light heavyweight fights in years. Now let's shift gears to the middleweight division because Israel Adesanya has finally broken his silence in a way that got everyone's attention. We all remember UFC 293. Strickland shocked the world by dominating Adesanya over 5 rounds to win the middleweight belt. It was one of the biggest upsets of the year. Since then, fans have been wondering, what's next for Izzy? Would he take time off? Would he chase an immediate rematch? Recently, Adesanya sent a very clear message to Strickland. In an interview, he said something like, "Enjoy that belt while you can, because I'm coming back with a new mindset." Classic Adesanya. Confident but calculated. He also hinted that he's been studying the fight, making adjustments, and that the next time they meet, it's going to be a different story. Strickland, of course, isn't one to stay quiet either. He's been staying active, training hard, and reminding everyone that he's the real champ until someone takes him out. Let's talk about why this rematch is so intriguing. Strickland's pressure style gave Izzy all kinds of problems. He stayed in Adesanya's face, cut off the cage, and refused to bite on feints. That's exactly how you neutralize a slick counter-striker. But here's the thing. Adesanya is known for his ability to adapt. Look at the way he solved the puzzle of Robert Whittaker, how he bounced back against Alex Pereira in their 4th fight. If they fight again, you can bet Izzy will come with new tactics. Maybe more movement, more leg kicks, maybe mixing in wrestling just to break the rhythm. Strickland will have to prove that his style wasn't just a one-night success, but a blueprint that works again. For the fans, this is the perfect rivalry. You've got Izzy's flashy striking and mind games against Strickland's no-nonsense pressure and trash talk. It's a clash of personalities as much as it is a clash of skills. Question for you guys. If the rematch happens later this year, who do you favor? Can Izzy reclaim the belt? Or is Strickland the man to beat at 185 now? Comment your thoughts and let's get a debate going. All right, now let's talk about the event that could bring all of this together. UFC 320. This card is already shaping up to be something special. Nothing is officially confirmed yet, but here's what's floating around. First, the obvious one, Pereira versus Hill for the light heavyweight title. Dana White hasn't announced it, but the buzz is real. Fans want it, the fighters want it, and the timing lines up perfectly. Next, there's talk of a huge lightweight fight. Dustin Poirier's name keeps popping up, maybe against a rising contender like Arman Tsarukyan, or even a returning Conor McGregor if the stars align. Imagine if UFC 320 had Pereira versus Hill and a McGregor fight on the same night. That would be massive. Welterweight is also interesting. Bilal Muhammad is waiting for a title shot. Shavkat Rakhmonov is undefeated and terrifying. Don't be surprised if one of them ends up on this card in a #1 contender fight. There are also whispers about big international names making comebacks. Guys like Paddy Pimblett looking for a statement fight. Or maybe a veteran like Tony Ferguson getting one last run. Another fun question is location. Most people assume Las Vegas, maybe the T-Mobile Arena, but UFC has been teasing international destinations. Could we see a return to Madison Square Garden in New York? Maybe a surprise card in Brazil if Pereira headlines? Imagine the atmosphere if Poatan defends his belt in his home country with that crowd behind him. Whatever the venue, you can bet UFC will load this card. Numbered events always bring fireworks, and with names like Pereira, Hill, Adesanya, and Strickland floating around, this has the potential to be a blockbuster. Before we wrap, let's talk about the reaction online. Social media exploded when news of Pereira and Hill's encounter dropped. Memes, breakdowns, slow-motion replays of a handshake that lasted a little too long. You name it, MMA fans are detectives. They analyze every eyebrow raise, every smirk. The same goes for Adesanya's message to Strickland. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit. Everyone's debating whether Izzy can make the right adjustments. Some say Strickland has the perfect style to beat him every time. Others believe Adesanya just had an off night. The debates are endless, and that's what makes being a fight fan so fun. That's going to do it for today's episode. We covered a lot. Alex Pereira's tense run-in with Jamahal Hill, Israel Adesanya's warning to Sean Strickland, and all the rumors surrounding UFC 320. If UFC makes these fights official, we could be looking at one of the best cards in years. I want to hear from you. Who wins if Pereira and Hill collide? Does Adesanya get his revenge on Strickland, or does Sean prove that first fight wasn't a fluke? And which fights do you want to see added to UFC 320? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, and make sure to subscribe for all the latest fight news. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.